Taliban hold sway in Marja. Farmers from the district of Marja, which since February has been the focus of the largest American-led military operation in Afghanistan, are fleeing the area, saying that the Taliban are terrorizing the population and that American troops cannot protect the civilians. The departure of the farmers is one of the most telling indications that Taliban fighters have found a way to resume their insurgency 3 months after thousands and thousands of troops invaded this Taliban stronghold in the opening foray of a campaign to take control of southern Afghanistan. Militants, or the Taliban, have been infiltrating back into the area, and the prospect of months of more fighting is undermining public morale, residents and officials say. As the coalition prepares for the next major offensive in the southern city of Kandahar, the uneasy standoff in Marja, where neither the American Marines nor the Taliban have gained the upper hand, and skirmishes or clashes occur daily, provides a stark lesson in the challenges of eliminating a patient and deeply rooted insurgency. In other words, the Afghanistan war, it's just gone on way too long now. And again, what is there to win exactly? And when will they know that they have won? Over 150 families have fled Marja in the last 2 weeks, according to the Afghan Red Crescent Society. Marja residents arriving here last week, many looking bleak and shell-shocked, said civilians had been trapped by the fighting, running a gauntlet of mines laid by insurgents and firefights around government and coalition positions. The pervasive Taliban presence forbids them from having any contact with or taking assistance from the government or coalition forces. People are leaving. You see 10 to 20 families each day on the road who are leaving Marja due to insecurity. It is now hard to live there in this situation. One farmer, who was loading his family and belongings onto a tractor trailer on the edge of Lashkar Gah last week, said he had abandoned his whole livelihood and insisted on Marja as soon as the harvest of corn this year was done. Every day they are fighting and shelling, said the farmer. We do not feel secure in the village, and we decided to leave. Security is getting worse day by day. We thought security would be improving, he said. Those who remain in Marja voiced similar complaints in dozens of interviews and repeated visits to Marja over the last month. I am sure if I stay in Marja, I will be killed one day, either by the Taliban or the Americans, said another farmer. Combat operations in Marja officially ended at the end of February, and the military declared the battle won, but much of the local Taliban, including at least 4 mid-level commanders, never left, stashing their rifles and adopting the quiet farm life. In other words, the Taliban are also the local people, and yes, they are also the farmers. A Taliban resurgence was not entirely unexpected, especially now as the poppy harvest ends, freeing men to fight and as the weather warms up. But the military had seen Marja as a clear and hold operation, in which the first part, clearing the district of militants, would be wrapped up fairly quickly. In fact, clearing has proved to be a much more elusive goal. By April, life had picked up. People began coming forward to receive government handouts, and farmers were happily taking money in return for destroying their poppy crops, whose opium provides a main source of Taliban funding or financing. As villagers saw their neighbors benefiting, more were encouraged to approach the district administration as well, despite the Taliban threats. But the insurgents' extensive intelligence network in Marja has remained intact, and they have been able to maintain a hold over the population through what residents have described as threats and assassinations. In April, members of the Taliban visited one old man late at night and made him eat his aid registration papers. Several residents said, a mafia-style warning to others not to take government aid. At the beginning of May, a well-liked man was beaten to death, accused of supporting the district chief and not paying taxes to the Taliban. His killing froze the community, and villagers stopped going to the district administration. The Taliban are everywhere. They're like scorpions under every stone, and they are stinging all those who get assistance or help the government and the Americans. The population remains divided in its support for the Taliban, with a portion providing shelter and assistance to the militants, and few daring to oppose them. In some places, people are still lining up for aid, indicating a certain resistance to Taliban strictures. But many repeat the Taliban contention that the Americans are bent on long-term occupation of Afghanistan and seek to eradicate the religion, Islam, and impose an alien Western-style democracy. Villagers complained of indignities imposed by the foreign forces, the arrest and killing of civilians, house searches that violate the ethnic Pashtuns' sense of honor and the sanctity of the home, and checkpoints where they are forced to lift up their shirts, which is deeply shaming for Afghans to show that they are not carrying explosives. Yet they also say that the American Marines are good with the people, only shoot at those who shoot at them, and are showing greater restraint than the British forces who came before them. But nonetheless, still, this is an occupation of a foreign country, and Afghans express deep frustration that the American military, which defeated Taliban so resoundingly in 2001, cannot clear Marja, a district of some 100 square miles of Taliban insurgents. More Taliban fighters have arrived in recent weeks. Everyone in Marja knows the Taliban, since they are village men who never left the area, although they quit fighting soon after the military operation. Gradually, they found a stealthier way of operating, moving around in small groups, often by motorbike or on foot. In other words, they are learning to adapt. And again, yes, they are also the local people. They live there. We know who the Taliban are, said a farmer, 35. When they attack the police or Americans, they put down their weapons and sit down for ordinary people. We cannot say a word against them. They know us and we know them pretty well. We know Taliban are killing people and threatening people, but we cannot stand against them or tell Americans or police about their whereabouts. And yes, these are more signs. There's something much bigger going on here. Everything is connected, and everything is numbered. Revelation, chapter 11, verse 18. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, in the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou should give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and should destroy them which destroy the earth. 19. The temple of God was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament, and there were lightnings and voices and thunderings, and an earthquake and great hail. And there are many different kinds of signs happening daily all around the world.